Hey, babe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I love you and God loves you best. Welcome back to my channel. We are here for a new show review and recap, and that is for Married at First Sight, Season 18. Yes, I know I said a long time ago that I was retiring this show and I wasn't going to do it anymore. But I decided to bring it back because this season looks like it's going back to its roots, and it doesn't look as contrived as some of the previous seasons that made me want to kind of separate myself. So without further ado, let's get into the Chicago season of Married at First Sight. And I like to call this hopeful first impressions. I'm going to start with episode 2 because episode 1 was pretty much an introduction of the couples. They were getting their fittings for their attire for the nuptials, and I pretty much got to get to the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to find out about these individuals in episode 2. So we have couples Alan and Madison, Carla and Juan, Ikechi and MM, Camille and Thomas, and Michelle and David. Now, I know the first couple to get married was Camille and Thomas. I'm going to get their names. It's going to take a minute. But Camille and Thomas were the first to commit their nuptials. But we're going to start with Alan and Madison. Now, Alan is 35 and Madison is 29, and that's fine. From initial introduction, both are very pleased with what they see from physical attraction. And Alan, he was just absolutely smitten. He was like, oh my gosh, they couldn't have done any better in answering my prayers, and you are just absolutely beautiful. And she was flattered, and she's excited and happy, Madison. They seem career compatible. He is in software development adjacent. He's a manager in marketing, I think, software development, and she is in the, I think, sales pathway of the software development. So they are both career oriented and driven, so I think they're compatible in that aspect. They seemed very comfortable around each other. Madison really liked the gift that she got from Alan. I want to call him Adam so bad. Alan, the gift that he gave her with the banana, and he was like, I hope you find this appealing. And it was, very clever. And he does seem to have like a really good sense of humor, even if, sometimes it could be corny. The fact that his effort to want to make you laugh and put a smile on your face is endearing. But they seem very comfortable with each other after they had their vows and exchanged vows and were finally official. The kiss that they shared, because he did ask for her permission, and she happily accepted, and their kiss was very genuine to me. I thought it looked very natural, very, it was a really nice first kiss for strangers. I mean, strangers. So that is my take. That's my recap on Alan and Madison. My opinion, I'm thinking first impression that they seem like they are going to pan out pretty well. I don't like to see the commercials with the little things on the. I don't like that because it gives me an impression, and I don't want an impression. I want to go on the journey just like they are. But from first impression, it seems like they are going to make the effort to see what this experience brings to them in a positive way. So they both seem very open and receptive to what this whole experience, this whole journey is going to open up for them both as one. And then we have Carla and Juan Pablo. And Carla is 34 and Juan is 36. Now, Carla is a whole mood. She definitely dances to the beat of her own drum. She says that she is an alien and that she is here to help people align their energy and bring them happiness. Juan is a little bit more grounded, a little bit more realistic. He has pretty much a stable and substantial career. He's forward thinking. He has a plan, and he seems like he knows where he wants to go and what he wants to do. I don't know. 1 minute, and this is an observation. 1 minute, like in Carla's photos, she's giving me like a Mexican Kardashian. And then in the next photo, like when you see her like in her confessionals, or like especially when she was getting ready for the wedding, and she had her gown, which she looked absolutely beautiful. Everybody looked beautiful. No one was like missing a mark. Everybody was aesthetically pleasing. But Carla specifically, she was giving me Amy Winehouse vibes, and I want to know what y'all getting at. Did you see Amy Winehouse? Especially when she had like the little cute little bouffant for her wedding hairdo, which was very cute and petite. But she's a mood. So we see Juan with his father and his brothers, and they do a toast to Juan on his upcoming marriage. And then Juan, we see that he's a very passionate and emotional person, and he starts to talk about his upbringing and being from Colombia, coming over to the States at the age of 7, and how he's like, I'm very used to the unknown. I'm used to acclimating to the unknown. So this isn't too much out of line with what I feel like I'm destined to do. I'm paraphrasing, but so he feels like, in some way, shape, or form, the universe has placed him in this space to receive this. So he's excited, and he is also ready to embark on the journey with his new wife. And then Carla says she's already in love. She don't even know him, and she love him. I was like, okay, girl. So we see that both are close to their families. Now Carla's parents, her sisters, her siblings were there. Her brother-in-law was there to accompany her down the aisle, but her parents were not in present. So the father pretty much is low-key, didn't want to be on camera, and the mama, I guess she was like, if the daddy don't want to, then I'm not going to. but I love you and I support you and I'm there with you in spirit. So I was like, okay. So the parents are absent, and like I said, Alex, which is her brother-in-law, walks her down the aisle. And then when they get down the aisle and they see each other and they make their nice little salutations and introductions to each other, and Carla asked him, she said, "Are you in love?" And he looked so serious at that moment, like he was like, "Oh, is she for real?" And he was like, "Well, I hope that we can eventually get there at some place in time," or something that he said. And she was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, she is uber, uber, uber extroverted." And she's one that you have to take a moment to just like take her in. I have to say, what the one thing I noticed is both of them have like the most exquisite smiles. They are both beautiful. Now, I love a beautiful natural smile, and I believe that both of their smiles are natural. I think some smiles have been reconstructed, but nevertheless, they're beautiful and they fit them nicely. So they, after the nuptials, they sit down, they talk about their careers, and I wouldn't say so much that Carla's are careers, they're more like jobs, but they're professional jobs. You know what I'm saying? Career long term, you can be a professional with a job, and she has 3 jobs. She is a spirit guide. She is, I think, either yoga or Pilates instructor, and she does something else. And he was like, "Oh, you and my brother might really get along because he's a tarot reader." And she was like, "Oh, I love it." She was really into that. So, from first impression, what I think of Carla and Juan, I don't know. It might be a little bumpy for them because she's so whimsical and he's so grounded. And I know they say opposites attract, but when it comes to, life, you have to have some sense of, reality. And I think I'm not saying that she doesn't recognize or deal in reality. I'm just saying that sometimes we can't float through and not have a plan and just be like, I'm just going to go with whichever way the universe guides and leads me. That's just not how it works. But I think that they're going to make an honest effort. I believe that Juan Pablo is going to make an honest effort. I know that Carla is going to make an effort, even though she says she speaks her mind, but she's coming from a place of love. And so I was like, well, thank you for putting that out on the table. But that is my first impression of Carla and Juan. Then we have Ikechi and MM. Now, Ikechi is 41 and MM just celebrated her 35th birthday. So that was wonderful. In that moment, in that space where she was, happy birthday to MM when it was. And just going to go over a few things with them. One of the first things that stuck out with me was when MM said she didn't think that this would happen for her. Okay, that's a very powerful statement. But then she came back and said, well, of course I knew it was going to happen. I mean, look at me. And then she gave this laugh. I hate when people laugh behind something they said that they really mean. The laugh is to try and soften whatever they said because it came across very poignant. And that was something that she said very boldly, and then she tried to soften it with a laugh. But you meant it. But your statements were conflicting, because you meant sincerely and wholeheartedly that you never thought this would happen for you. Because if you thought it was going to happen for you, you wouldn't have needed Married at First Sight to intervene. That's just simple math. So when you say, of course, look at me, yes, look at you from the outside aesthetically, you are just absolutely delicious. But we don't know what's going on the inside of you, and what it is about you internally or fundamentally that has kept you single. But we will find out in this show, because it is like a brain game. It's like being in this it is an experiment. It's an experiment that has you in a binding contract, but it is an experiment nevertheless, and it is psychological more than anything, because matters of the heart play intensely on the mind, and that's just something that just happens. And I think throughout this season that we're going to find out a lot about and how she responds to things that have to do with matters of feeling or emotion, matters of the heart. But she said that. And she also said that she is excited, but she's also concerned, and she hopes that how she is what he wants. How she is what he wants. Again, I believe that we're going to find out a lot about who is psychologically and emotionally. People look really good on paper, and sometimes they present themselves because they send their representative, and the representative is somebody that you want to kick it with. But then once the representative is like, okay, the coast is clear, and then they exit the building and then they meet you, it's like, oh, whoa, hey, whoa, what the fuck happened? And that's usually, we do it for employment. We code switch, and people do it in relationships. So we also find out that because we also know that her father passed away recently, in the most recent years, and so her bridesmaids, which are her friends, her family, they gave her something blue, was a pendant with her father's picture on it, and it says, "I miss you," and it had a blue heart on it. So that was her something blue, and I thought that was such a beautiful, touching gift, so that she could have that near and dear, and he could be there with her in spirit. I really thought that was touching. And then so we also know that MM's mother is not present. She will not be present at the ceremony, because while she supports MM, because they are not unfamiliar to arranged marriages, that is something that she's comfortable with, she's not comfortable with the publicizing of the marriage. So all the lights, camera, action, mama not down with. So she was like, baby, I love you, and I'm going to be there with you in spirit. So that's MM's experience as far as with her parents and the dynamic of the immediate family. And then her mother did write her a letter, though, wishing her all the best, and letting her know how much she loves her. Now, MM is Nigerian. She's first generation Nigerian, and she is I don't know if I said it, but I'm going to say it now. Ikechi is 41 and MM is, I did. She just turned 35. Now, this was a thing that I wanted to say about Ikechi. Ikechi is 41. As far as his career background, I was trying to calculate, and it didn't seem like it was really, I went all the way back to the age of 24. Because he said he had been a band director for 15 years. So if we go from 24, okay, 24, and then 15, that's 39. Okay, he's 41. And now he is a high school college counselor. Okay, he prepares his students to get ready for college, and he also says that he helps them get scholarships so that they don't have to pay. He assists them with finding aid. So that's all good. But 39, you said also that you were a academic advisor on the college level, on the collegiate level. So that only gives you like what, 39, 40, 2 years. So you did that for 2 years, and now I just want to make sure, because I went all the way back to him just getting out of undergrad and said, okay, he landed a gig as a high school band director, band teacher, and he did it for 15 years, from 24 to 39. But then you got these last few years, because that's where the gap, the timeline wasn't lining for me. But y'all leave it in the comment section and tell me if I missed something, because he did say 15. He's 41 now, and I'm trying to figure out. So there's been 3 career changes within education. So those last 2 years and then this 1 year, if that's the case, then okay, that makes sense. But if not, then I hope we not going back to a Michael from a few seasons who was supposed to be an educator, and he was a yoga instructor, and he was doing all of this stuff, and he didn't have nothing going on. He was just a pathological liar. I know y'all know who I'm talking about. So we got Ikechi decided to write a poem to his wife. We find out that Ikechi has written a book because he has explained that he has been praying for his other half. He's been praying for his spouse. So he wrote a book of letters to his wife that was published. And so, yes, this is something I would say that was, one would look at and say that he manifested, but that's kind of hard to say too, because you lived in Houston and you auditioned for the Houston season, but you didn't get selected, and you say it's because they couldn't find you a match. Okay, so then you decided to apply for the Chicago season, and then you moved to Illinois from Texas. So I can't say you really manifested it. I could just say you was chasing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to have ambition. So he wrote this poem to his wife, and that was another thing. I was like, I wonder how she would feel knowing that he was a previous applicant. It's one thing to, I guess, be previously engaged, but in this setting, to know that someone was a previous applicant, I don't know if that would be a red flag or a yellow flag, but it would definitely be right here. And then we find out also that Ikechi is an only child. He was raised by his mom. His mom is present. Miss Amanita is a beautiful lady. And he has the greatest love for his mom. It's been him and her. They've been in this thing for so long, and she's emotional, but she's holding it together really well, and she's just letting her son know that she wishes him all the love and happiness, and that, you know, she hopes that the addition to their family is a blessing. So then we see that MM, because these names, oh Jesus, MM's cousin is going to walk her down the aisle. Raphael is yummy to me, in my opinion. I think he is delicious because I love me a chocolate man, and he had a nice smile. Now, he could have put some more beard oil on it and like brushed it, you know, got hit like the little soft brush, the facial brush to like smooth out the hair, because it was giving me, look like it had a little tension in it. And that's me being polite. So, but I mean, it still doesn't take away from his yumminess. Just, that would just increase it, just enhance it a little more. The other thing that caught my attention was when they first initially saw each other, and I'm talking about MM and Ikechi. Now, he was pleased with what he saw, and she was too, but he extended his hand for a handshake, and I was like, she getting ready to be your wife, bruh. Why you giving her a handshake? You could have said, can I have a hug? And she would have gave it to you. I know she would have. But I guess he thought that that would be appropriate for a first meeting. But the attraction was definitely approved. And then also their kiss. Now, Ikechi, oh my God, her head was like that was her whole head. It was like at a 90-degree angle. And she went in all down his throat. I mean, she was all up in his esophagus. It was something to watch, and it was kind of uncomfortable. I was like, oh my goodness, girl, you was ready. You really was ready. Then we have Camille and Thomas, and like I said, they were actually first, but this is where they came in on my list, number 4. Now, the one thing that I realized for them is they have twins on both sides. Thomas, he's adopted, and he does have a relationship with his bio mom. Camille is a product of divorced parents. She was very athletic, and I'm sure she's still very active currently today. And she's established, and they saw each other. They were pleased. They got the jitters out. But we have to remember that Thomas was in a 9-year relationship. Now, there is a 10-year gap between their age. She's 32, he's 42. Could that matter? Maybe, because I always subtract 7 from a man's age, because I feel like that's where he truly is. So right now, he's in his 30s too. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. I'm not hopeful for them, only because I feel like Camille is in it to win it, but I feel like Thomas is still trying to convince himself. He tried to push himself to do something that he wouldn't do, which he did. But I feel like he's still just trying to convince himself. So I'm not really hopeful about them. But based on first impression, it was a good first impression for the two. And then lastly, we have Michelle and David. Now, Michelle is 38 and David is 36. And surprise, he's getting married on his birthday. Happy birthday, David. Now Michelle has been single for 6 years. That to me could be a kind of pink colored, deep purple colored flag, like a purple burgundy colored flag. Cause I mean, you could have been, now it could be totally something helpful to herself in the next relationship she got into. She was on a journey to really truly finding herself. But because she's 38, and if she wants to have children, I'm not trying to like police her womb. But I mean, at 35, 34, 35, we are considered geriatric pregnancies and high risk already. So 38, yes, that's a geriatric pregnancy. It sounds real ignorant, but medically that's what they say. So I mean, that's why it takes me back to the red flag, the burgundy flag, because yeah, that's a long time in that area. Like, what wasn't working for you? Because I'm sure there's somebody who came along, but it wasn't what you thought you wanted. Then David, like I said, it's his birthday, and he shares with us birthday traditions. His father got married on his birthday. His brother got married on his birthday. So he feels like, this is a good thing. It's positive, especially with his parents, the longevity. His cousin and those have been married 6 years. His parents have been married over 30, I think. So he feels like, this is a hopeful sign for him. And I was like, okay. And then another thing that I observed that stuck out to me, and I was like, oh, that's scary, is Michelle had her bridesmaids in black dresses. And I thought that was very, very dismal. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, that was the color that she chose. I mean, it is a black tie event, but black bridesmaids dresses, not so much. And then I also observed how the women in her family age. I looked at her, I looked at her sister, I looked at the mother, and right around here they get those deep fine lines around the mouth, in the smile line area, and in the cheek area. They just start to, gravity just starts to take them. And I'm like, oh, she might look cute right now, but if he looks at them, that's what he possibly has to look forward to. I will say David has a very affectionate family. They're very close knit. And I think that is a beautiful thing. He has Puerto Rican, and he has, one of his grandmothers is Caucasian. I think that's his father's mother. But he has this, I mean, some may call it a preference, but how he was describing it, it sounded like a fixation of the blonde hair and the blue eye preference. And then but that's his preference, and I'm okay with that. Then Michelle was describing the guy that she likes. She likes African American men, and she likes them with tats and all of these different things. And I was like, okay, girl. And she was like, she wants a ride or die. I was like, all right, no problem. I'm not touching it. I'm not even gonna comment on any of that. So, we also touch on the fact that David still lives at home in his parents' basement, and it's not by force, it's by choice. This is something that he's chosen to do because, he was single. It was fiscally feasible, and his mom and daddy really didn't want him to go in anyway, so it worked out just fine for them. But we can tell definitely he is a mama's boy. And I don't know if Michelle is a daddy's girl, but daddy was there, and he was ready to walk her down the aisle and just be there for his daughter on her special day. What I think about David and Michelle, David's more laid back and easygoing, even though he is very forthcoming. Like he said, he started with a blank slate, so he has nothing to hide. He's gonna put it out there. Like, he told her that he was a smoker. She was like, ew, that's nasty. So he was like, cool, I could let that go. He's a social smoker anyway, so he was like, it's no biggie. Then when he shared that he lives at home, she was like, oh, say what now? And that got her attention, and that's pretty much where the episode wrapped up, with all of the couples, and they did a recap of what's next. But this part is always so, the formality of it all, just the meet and greet and getting to know and all of that stuff. It's just so, I like how they kind of sped it up a little bit, because usually it would be at least 4 episodes just for them to get married and the receptions. But no, they are moving it right along, and I absolutely love it. So drop down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you think of the couples. I thank you so much for tuning in and spending some time with me. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, bye.